In this video, we're going to cover how long does a judgment stay on your credit report. A judgment will stay on your credit report for typically 7 years, regardless if you satisfy or pay the judgment. This is according to the Equifax website. There is no minimum amount of time a judgment on your credit report must remain. Potentially, you could have a judgment on your credit report forever. If a creditor decides to renew a judgment against you, they will get an additional 7 years to collect payment from the date of renewal. This means you will have a judgment on your credit report for an additional 7 years. How to remove judgments from credit report files. On the bright side, a judgment on credit report files is often a relatively easy item to remove. This is because that information is kept as a public record. This means if you dispute a judgment on your credit report, when the credit bureaus investigate, they will contact the court. They will ask a court clerk to verify the account and the information about it. According to reports, often these court clerks are overworked and underpaid. In other words, a court clerk is not highly motivated to verify a judgment on your credit report. The Fair Credit Reporting Act says if an item is not verified during a credit bureau investigation, it must be removed from your credit report. A judgment is one of the worst items that can be on your credit report. It is going to significantly damage your credit score. In order to get a good credit score, you will need to remove a judgment from your credit report. It doesn't matter if you are building credit, this negative item will ruin your creditworthiness. How to dispute a judgment on your credit report. You can dispute a judgment on your credit report by creating a credit bureau dispute letter. You may also file a credit dispute online and over the phone. We suggest you create a dispute letter and send that using certified mail. You're going to need to send this letter to all 3 credit bureaus. Alternatively, if you prefer a more hands-off approach, you can hire expert credit attorneys to perform the dispute process for you. Once the credit bureaus get your dispute and find it valid, they will conduct an investigation. The big catch here is the bureaus must first find your dispute valid. It is a common result for consumer credit disputes to be found invalid by the credit bureaus. Critics of the credit bureaus say this is merely an attempt to avoid conducting investigations and correcting inaccurate information about consumers' credit reports. Did you know it is not in the credit bureau's financial interest to investigate consumer credit disputes? In fact, the Fair Credit Reporting Act requires the credit bureaus to investigate consumer disputes. This is a federal law. Despite this, the credit bureaus have been fined multiple times by the Federal Trade Commission, also known as the FTC, for ignoring consumer credit disputes. This is why many people get frustrated, give up, and just live with bad credit. But you don't have to just live with bad credit for 7 years or longer. It is your right, just like it is your right to vote, to remove any incorrect, inaccurate, or questionable information from your credit report. Get professional credit help by calling 1-877-925-6475 and get a free credit repair consultation. And visit yourbadcreditcard.net to sign up for more free credit repair tips. Again, get professional credit help by calling 1-877-925-6475 and get a free credit repair consultation. And visit yourbadcreditcard.net to sign up for more free credit repair tips.